sono. La guardano con grandi meraviglia, vicino che non c'è nato tutto mondo, e sulla cala nostra s'assimiglia. La conca d'oro e chi sta cascia luci, sotto la neve monci per dormire, sparano farola sole anche luci.
Hi, I'm Carlos and I'm the Accidental Chef, and welcome to the Accidental Chef Cooking School. Today we're going to make a marvelous recipe that you can use throughout the year. We're going to make an appetizer called Eggplant Caponata. It's so delicious. I refer to it as Sicilian caviar. It's very easy to make. It's one that you can use when you have a lot of vegetable, especially in the summer when your eggplant is prolific. So we will start by just taking a basic eggplant. You know, my Sicilian grandmother, I often wondered about her recipes, so I kind of researched and talked to my aunts and my uncles about her cooking and that kind of stuff. And what I realized from her cooking was, now, rarely do you have to peel eggplant. It's always, you can use the peeling with the eggplant. So today I'm going to cube the eggplant. So I'm cutting it in about 1/2-inch planks, okay? You sort of cut the bottom off just to stabilize it while I'm cutting. Then I'm going to cut it the long way like this. Nice cut. Then I'm going to cross cut this way. Put that in there. Get that cut. But what I found out about my grandmother's recipes and things is my family are 5 generations of grocers. So my great-grandmother and my grandparents had a grocery store. So mostly the produce that my grandmother cooked was that produce from the store that was somewhat spoiled, that was not good enough to be sold as fresh, but there were parts of it that were able to be eaten. So if the eggplant was bad on one side, she used the good side and cut it up, and so most of the dishes that she made was smothered. So in order to, whenever you cook with eggplant, you always want to brine it. That is, soak it in salt water. So I have this, for the time, taken this eggplant and soaked it. It's been soaking for about 45 minutes. And I've added salt. You can see how the water's browned. I put it in this clear bowl so you can see the brown water. That's showing that it's pulling out the impurities in the eggplant. Now, if you've ever cooked eggplant, you probably get frustrated because the minute you put the eggplant in the oil, it begins to absorb it all. So, but when you soak it, it removes that factor from it. So I'm going to get my oil good and hot here. Got it on my nice new KitchenAid range top. KitchenAid is our corporate sponsor, and we certainly appreciate that. So what I do as a rule with my oil is, regardless of the size of the pot, I put a skim coat, or a little bit deeper than that, maybe 1/4 of an inch of oil in the skillet. So this nice 14-inch skillet has probably close to a cup of oil, where a smaller pot would have less. So that's the factor there, whatever that is. So I'm going to kind of fry the eggplant and saute it very hot. So I've got my oil very hot. So you got to kind of watch it, because there's a point when the oil gets so hot it begins to smoke, and you really don't want that, because, but you do want that sizzle. You can hear that nice sizzle from the eggplant. So I'm just going to drain this with a nice slotted spoon. Okay. There we go. Marvelous. Marvelous. Very easy. Okay. The salt kind of breaks down the vegetable, particularly the eggplant, and allows it to get softer, and it's going to cook very nice. I'm just going to break apart all these cuts that didn't make it quite through the skin, and just let that come up. All right. You've got that covered in oil. You can see almost immediately that it starts turning this nice green color. We look at the eggplant and we see that it's purple, but it's really got a lot of green in it. So I'm going to just take that and set that aside. Now, the next ingredient I'm going to add is onions. So we're going to make sure that it's going to fit. So we're just going to slice this onion like that. Get some nice rings. When my children were small, I always cut the onions in big pieces so that if they didn't like the onions, they could easily separate them from the rest of the food. So I'm just going to put that aside right there. Let that saute. All right. Grab this bowl for my eggplant when it comes back. Now while this is sauteing, we're going to make our, I'm going to start the bread for the bread plate. That is, we're going to make a bread and we're going to make it like a plate. So I'm going to cut this nice, I bought a nice baguette at the market. A baguette is more narrow than most French breads, and the bread is usually very dense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my bread in a bowl like this. Set this over here so you can see me cut. Nice diagonal cuts. When you cut on the diagonal like that, you get longer pieces that you can use for like a plank. All right. Okay, just put those over there like that. Get rid of the heel. Save it to eat later. Now that I've got these nice pieces cut, I'm going to put them in a bowl. Then I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil and I'm going to drizzle it over the top. Now I always use extra virgin olive oil because you know after extra virgin, you're not quite sure what is in the olive oil. So we'll talk about more of that later. A little salt, okay, a little cayenne pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. Basically we're making large croutons. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to just do it. If you've got some fresh herbs, you can add to it some basil or some dried basil or dried Italian seasoning, Romano cheese, just about anything you want with this. You just kind of, I've got them good and toasted, got the oil and the garlic and all that mixed around. Then I'm going to put it on a pan, on a rack, because I'm going to cook it in my convection oven with, and the convection blows air all around, okay, and creates the crunch that we want from the bread plate. You can see how I've got a little bit of, like a palette or a plate to put the bread on, to put the food on, so it showcases it. There we go, like that. Very nice, very, very nice. Set that over there. All right. And I'm going to set that in my oven for 6 minutes. The convection has a fan in the back of the oven and it blows, it moves the air around. You know, the oven works with radiant heat from the bottom. I have this in a very hot oven. I have it set at 425. So I'm going to set it at 6 minutes so that I don't forget it. All right? Let's check on our eggplant and see how it's doing. Okay? Very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scoop that eggplant out of there. I'm just sort of frying it a little because it's going to go back into the mixture and cook some more. But if I don't like to cook it too long because I like it to be al dente. I like it when you eat a vegetable or you eat anything that you really feel it and it crunches and you can really know that you're tasting something and it's not going to be all mushy. All right, so I'm going to add my onions to that. There we go, just like that. Let that saute. The recipe says kind of cook them till they're brown, so they're going to need about 3 or 4 minutes. And they love big pieces of celery, so I'm going to cut this on the diagonal again, kind of coarse. That is to say, big pieces that just are really wonderful. Maybe just slice that one in half. Okay. All right, so I've got my celery cut like that. So now my onions are good and wilted. I'm going to add my celery. Okay. Lots of celery. Love that celery. I'm going to add a little salt here because I want the salt to help the celery kind of cook and break down. Stir that in the oil real good, get it good and coated. And then I'm going to add, the recipe says, a half a cup of tomato sauce. It doesn't really affect the flavor as much as it does affect its color and the texture. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've probably got a little bit north of a half a cup, but it's going to be all right. The recipe also says if you need more liquid at the end to add water, so I'm just sort of stepping in the middle here and adding more tomato sauce, then I can do that. Then I'm going to put the lid on here and let that saute so that celery gets tender. And when the celery gets tender, I'm going to add back my eggplant. This is a very simple recipe. It also keeps very well in the refrigerator, and you can also can it. I can this often and sell it canned by putting, canning is a very simple process. People think, oh, I can't can, I'm not a pioneer woman, or well, my grandmother did all this canning, but canning's very simple. So the process is you get whatever you're going to can it in, use a canning jar with a special canning lid, and you heat the jars in boiling water, and you heat the food. You put the hot food in the hot jar, and then you put the lid on it, and the lid has a special seal, and the heat from the food will draw the lid down and create the seal. So that's why when you open something that's been canned and you turn the lid, it pops. That's the lid coming back up. So that's the whole process, and then you can keep that throughout the winter. So like I said, when your eggplant is plentiful in the summer, then you can do that. You can can it, all right? There we go. Got that sauteing. So I'm going to, what is that I hear? That's my bread. Let's check the bread and see how it's doing. Oh, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. We just wanted a nice toasted bread, and I think we've achieved that this morning. You can see on both sides it's nice and toasty and brown. It's very warm. I'll go ahead and turn my oven and my timer off. All right. And this looks like it's ready. I'm going to add the eggplant back and all the good oil that came with it. Add that to that. Okay. I'm going to add some black olives. The recipe called for green olives. You know, caponata is like a favorite of a lot of families. A lot of people make it differently. You make it the way that you like it. I like to use the black olives. As you can see in the color and in the texture of the dish, they stand out more, okay? Rather than being a green olive, they'd be the only one. Then I'm going to add capers. Capers are a nice little berry. They kind of have a pickly flavor, and they're in a brine. So always when you use capers, rinse them before you add them to any dish, because that brine in the jar can be bitter. Okay? Now I'm going to take some red wine vinegar, okay? And it's a 2-to-1 measurement, so I've got about a half a cup in there, so I put about a 1/4 cup of that, and I'm just going to take this whisk and mix it together. Now you can heat this if you want, like in a little sauce pot, until it's dissolved, or you can just do like I'm doing here and blending it. All right. All right. All of our recipes that we cook on our cooking show at the Accidental Chef Cooking School are available on our website at accidentalcooking.com. So this recipe, Eggplant Caponata, will be up on our website, and you will be able to look at it and download it. And while you're there, you can schedule a class to come to the Accidental Chef Cooking School and learn to cook. We love teaching people to cook. We just celebrated our grand opening with Chef John Besh, and he was here demoing, and we were very excited to have him. And we've had over 600 people come to the cooking school for classes. And we are so excited about that. So we're going to let this saute, and as it sautés, then it's going to allow us to let these cool. These are getting nice and cool. We're going to put them on our platter like this, and it's going to cool off. You know, the accidental chef didn't always have a cooking school. We have, for the last 10 or so years, I've been a caterer. So if you're in the need of any sort of catering for an event, or catering for your own private party in your home, a shower, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, we can do it here at the Accidental Chef, or with our partner, Esprit Decor next door, a beautiful venue with a lovely salon that you can have small weddings, intimate parties. You can also have business meetings. We can provide whatever it is that you need for your event. We also we do corporate lunches. The Accidental Chef Cooking School is actually a very good place for you to entertain your clients and your customers when you need a setting for them to be here for an extended period of time, where you want to train them or teach them about a particular product that you're introducing. This is an excellent spot. It's intimate. They feel like they've got the whole place to themselves, and it works very nicely. Let's check our caponata. Looks like it's sauteing beautifully. Ooh, I wish there was smell-o-vision, because this really smells wonderful. You can see we've got a nice color there, and it's smothering nicely. Beautiful, beautiful. We're going to turn this down to simmer, and it's pretty much ready to go with that and this. Sometimes I had a customer tell me one time that she took the caponata and she put it on pasta. It's normally served cold or at room temperature as an appetizer, but she loves it as a topping for pasta. And it makes it very easy. You cook some pasta, you kind of heat this just by microwaving a little, and then toss it with a lot of good Romano cheese into your pasta, and you have a marvelous meatless vegetarian dish. You know, Sicilians are are mostly Roman Catholics, so they have a lot of feast days where there's no meat, especially during Lent. So this is a marvelous dish to augment your Lenten dinners or your holy days where you abstain from any meat. And it's very rich and flavorful and can be used in a lot of different ways. I suppose if you wanted to, you could brown some meat and you could add it to some meat and make like a dressing and just serve it that way as well. But it is a delicious, very easy to consume, very easy to prepare. We're just about we're waiting for the celery to get tender, and we're almost there. There we go. Just let that saute like that. People often ask me, when can I come to the cooking school? When do you have classes? Well, if you go to the website, accidentalcooking.com, we have our class schedule up all the time. We have classes on Fridays and Saturdays and Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday evenings almost every week. You can find me here every Thursday evening, some Fridays and occasional Saturdays, but those other things are filled with other chefs in the area. You know, this part of Louisiana is blessed to have a whole cadre of excellent chefs, and a lot of them are not professional chefs, but they are chefs nonetheless that love to cook and can cook. And it really is a way for them to showcase, and it's a way for you to have an exciting time. You know, the USA Today said that this summer, when we got selected as the best food city in the country by Ryan McNally, they commented that the accidental chef was convivial, and people often ask me, well, what does that mean, convivial? And I like to say it means I have great hair, but that's not really what it means. It means that it's a place to have a marvelous time. It's a place filled with hospitality. It's a place where the proprietor makes sure that the guests are always happy, that the guests are always having a good time. So in the 2.5 and 3 hours that it takes for us to prepare the courses and pair that with wine and for you to eat them and ask the questions and have the full cooking school experience, you are at the end excited and satisfied, and everybody has a wonderful time at the cooking school because it's such an easy place to enjoy food, to learn about your passion. If you're a real foodie and you have food passions, it's a great way to learn about that. We have chefs that cook Cajun food, we have chefs that cook French food, we have chefs that cook continental food. Of course, I cook Sicilian food and Italian food most of the time. We're lucky in this area to have a rich bounty of available seafood. So we do lots of seafood recipes. Oh yes, this is really coming together nicely. Very, very nice, sauteed. You can see the celery cuts very easily. And so I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off and let that rest for about 10 minutes or so that we can enjoy it in a few minutes. So anytime you have food, it's always good to let it rest because all the flavors that are in the juices that are in your pot, or especially with meat, if you let them rest, they reabsorb that flavor. So when you slice them and carve them, they're more tender and more juicy. So, well, we certainly appreciate you being at the Accidental Chef Cooking School today. I hope you learned something. And remember, at accidentalcooking.com, you will find the recipe we prepared today. Thank you. We're so glad to have you at our table today at the Accidental Chef Cooking School. We've got this lovely caponata that we made today, and it's just beautiful. You can see how rich the colors are. The olive oil, it's got that golden sort of color from the tomato sauce and the fresh vegetables and the eggplant. It's just wonderful. I can't wait to taste it. I wish you could smell how fragrant the vinegar and all the vegetables are on this thing. It's wonderful. You know, you can learn to cook at the Accidental Chef Cooking School. It's very easy. I wasn't always a chef. In fact, I still have a day job, but I love to cook. It's a whole lot of fun. And the greatest part about cooking, someone asked me the other evening, why do you do this? And I said, the reason that I do this, and my guest chef, French chef, said, we do it because we love to see you enjoy food. You know, there's a special feeling when your guests are really enjoying what you've had and you made someone happy and you've made someone really appreciate what you can do. So, but if you don't like to cook, you don't have to cook. We love to cook, so just call us. We'll come in, we'll cook for you, we'll cater your event, we'll prepare food for your freezer. Just anything you want. Just go to accidentalcooking.com, and on our website you'll find it very easy to navigate. You can book a class, you can buy a gift certificate, you can buy any of our cookbooks. In fact, we have John Besh's cookbook that's signed on the website in our store. So there's a whole array of things. You've got a big event. We have a partner here downtown with Esprit de Corps. You can come to Esprit de Corps and we will cater your event, a sit-down dinner, a buffet dinner, a cocktail party, whatever it is you want. We like to say about our catering, it's our desire for your dreams to come true. So let's try the caponata this morning. It's just so wonderful. It's on that crunchy bread plate and it's going to make lots of noise. Let's listen. Oh my God. As my daughter says, OMG. There are so many flavors here, all competing for my attention, and they are just so, excuse me. I'm gonna hurt myself, but it's worth it. Prepared it with this very robust red. It's like magic. It's so wonderful, it's so delicious. You can cook too. You can be a chef. Just come to the Accidental Chef Cooking School. Check us out at accidentalcooking.com. I'd like to thank my producers and my staff for making this a perfect event today, and also I'd like to thank our corporate sponsors, KitchenAid and Coburn Supply. If you're looking for the right appliance for the perfect kitchen, look no further than Coburn's and KitchenAid to make your cooking perfect. Again, thanks for being at the Accidental Cooking School today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bon appetit.